Yo, what is up, guys? Ethan here, back with another video, and today we are returning with college football predictions. As today we have the Texas A&M Aggies. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Before we hop in, I just want to let you know I'm purposely recording this video on August 4th for the joke. Yes, it's the joke. Texas A&M goes 8-4 every year. I'm doing that on purpose, but let's get that out of the way. Texas A&M is a very intriguing year this year. Last recruiting class, they had the #1 class, breaking all recruiting records basically for the top class ever. And looking at the depth chart as we'll get to that in a second, tons of freshmen can start year one. A lot of Texas A&M key players did declare for the NFL draft or graduated. So there's a lot of holes to be filled with this A&M offense. But before we get into that, A&M ranks 84th in returning production for this upcoming season as they have 61%. 62% of the offensive starters come back, which is 76th, and 60% of the defense comes back, the defensive starters, which is 91st. So this is kind of like a little below average for a lot of college football teams, but it's Texas A&M. With all the recruits coming in, is that really going to be a main issue? We'll find out. The big thing about this offense is got to be the quarterback situation, and that was a killer for Texas A&M last year. You started off with Haynes King. He got hurt in the Colorado game, I believe. Then Zach Calzada came in. He did okay, but now he transferred to Auburn. So this quarterback battle for Texas A&M is going to be very intriguing, as you have Haynes King coming back as the quarterback. You have a transfer, Max Johnson. He played at LSU last season. And then you have a true freshman in Connor Weigman who could potentially start. I don't think so. He could get redshirted. But the main battle is probably going to be between Max Johnson and Haynes King. Personally, I think Haynes King is a better quarterback for this scheme. But either way, if King or Johnson start, I think they're going to have like equal production depending on who starts. And it's really not going to affect it. Kind of similar to what Notre Dame's going to have. Talking about that, that's going to be our next video, so look out for that. That's coming out tomorrow. The running back situation, it's pretty deep. Your top rusher in Isaiah Spiller left, but Devin Ackney returns. He was almost a 1,000-yard rusher last year. He's definitely going to excel over 1,000 this year. I don't think the backup running back is going to have as many yards as Ackney had last year, as those are going to be L.J. Johnson Jr. and Amari Daniels. Those two will probably split carries, and they'll both probably have around 300, 400 rushing yards on the season. Now, this wide receiver core is very intriguing. It's very similar to Oregon, as there's no key #1 guy, but there's tons and tons of great wide receivers here that are all going to have playing time this year. The main one I really need to talk about is that 5-star true freshman coming in Evan Stewart. He's going to be an absolute beast day one for Texas A&M, in my opinion. And that's really going to excel this offense for whatever quarterback is going to be under helm. Aniyah Smith is going to be at that slot wide receiver, as you also have Jalen Preston returning. Both of Preston and Smith are going to be seniors. Chase Lane is going to come in. Moose Muhammad III is also back as well. Devin Price is back as well. And then also another freshman in Chris Marshall that could also be getting some playing time. The top receiver for this A&M team was Jalen Watermeyer. He actually declared for the NFL draft. So this tight end situation is going to be a little iffy in my opinion, as I really don't see any one of these tight ends on the depth chart really going to be performing up to the scale Watermeyer had last year. And then for the offensive line, it's kind of average for like an SEC offensive line in my opinion. So overall for the offense, pretty quality good. Tons of talent on this team. Just going to be up to the coaching to put it all together. Now we look at the defense, and they lost a lot of their main players last year. As you look at the top defenders from last year and like sacks and all, the Marvin Leal, he went to the NFL draft. Tyree Johnson's gone. Michael Clemens is gone. The main thing about this defense is the secondary. You have the best safety in college football in Antonio Johnson, which is absolutely massive, and he's only going to improve after a spectacular year last year. Also, another guy to look out for is Damani Richardson. This is probably the best safety duo in college football with Johnson and Richardson. So A&M got their safeties figured out. The cornerback situation is very deep, as they do have a lot of experience there as well. But the secondary is going to be amazing for Texas A&M, as they probably have a top 5, top 10 secondary in all of college football for this upcoming season. But excluding at that secondary, this defense is very questionable, in my opinion. The defensive line lost so much talent due to the NFL. They do have a lot of players coming in like Shamar Stewart, Walter Nolan was one of the top guys, and Anthony Lucas. They could definitely have a day one impact, but I just don't see them being as good as that A&M line was last year. And then with the linebacking core, it's kind of like the same issue. You really don't have that much talent, as you do have a few freshmen in Martell Harris Jr. and Ish Harris coming in, but are they going to have a day one impact? With the linebacking core and the defensive line, there is some experience there, like McKinley Jackson at that nose tackle and then Andre White at that middle linebacker position. But overall, in the linebacking core and the defensive line, they did lose talent, so that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So, after all that, let's get into this Texas A&M schedule, and man, it's tough. Well, I said man, it's tough, but these first two games, they are going to be wins. I'm not even going to talk about Sam Houston. That second game versus App State. App State's a really good Sun Belt team. Maybe a little bit closer. I may take the points depending on what the spread is. A&M's going to win that game, though. So after you start out 2-0, you have that big game. Home versus Miami. This is not even the game circled on their schedule. But this is still a massive game. And personally, I'm going to have Miami going into College Station and winning this game. I know A&M fans are going to be mad at me for this one. I just believe in Mario Cristobal and that coaching staff. Yes, maybe a head coach battle, Jimbo may have the upper hand compared to Cristobal. But when you look at all the other assistant coaches, Miami wins. They have way better assistant coaches in my opinion. Miami has tons of experience coming back on defense. They have a great defensive line, so that's probably going to cause some trouble for the quarterback situation in that offensive line. The offense for Miami, you got Jalen Knighton. He's going to be a breakout candidate this year, in my opinion. Tyler Van Dyke, he's an NFL quarterback. He's only going to improve. Going to be very intriguing to see how he is versus this A&M secondary. But overall, close game. Miami's going to win this one in my opinion. And after an upset loss at home versus Miami, you had that neutral site game versus Arkansas. And even though I want to say Arkansas wins so badly, but I think Texas A&M is going to be furious about what happened last week at home. They're going to release all the anger back on the Razorbacks, and Texas A&M is going to beat Arkansas probably around 10 points. And also adding fuel to the fire, Arkansas upset y'all last year in Arlington, so I think Texas A&M will get revenge, and A&M will win this game. Now, before you get to the bye, you have two back-to-back road games, and man, they're going to be tough. First, you're at Mississippi State, and with that air raid offense versus that really good secondary for A&M, it's going to be a very intriguing matchup to watch. This is going to be a very close game in my opinion, but I think at the end of the day, the Texas A&M talent is going to outweigh Mississippi State's in this one, and also they do have the better coaching staff. Very, very close game. This could be a massive upset in the season to destroy the Aggies' playoff chances, but they will pull away on the road. And then after barely winning last week, oh boy, this is the circled game I was talking about a second ago. You have to go to Tuscaloosa and play the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I'm sorry, A&M fans, Alabama's going to win this game. You upset them last year. Alabama, Bryce Young, Nick Saban, they're furious about that. This is also the game they have circled on their schedule as well. I think very similar to what I've been saying. There are a lot of these revenge games. I'm going with the team that lost last year, and I have them winning by bigger margins. I have Ohio State beating Michigan by 20 plus. Maybe this isn't going to be 20 plus, but this is an Alabama win by like 17 points in my opinion. Next week you have a bye week, and then you go to Columbia and face South Carolina. So 3 road games back to back to back, and you just have a bye in between. I know, I understand you have like an undefeated record versus South Carolina, but this South Carolina team is different. South Carolina's also coming back off a bye after this game as well. This is going to be a thrilling game in my opinion. It's going to be a close one, but I think South Carolina is going to find a way to win this one. I have the Gamecocks upsetting A&M at home, and A&M goes down, destroying any chances of not only the playoff, but the SEC championship game as well. Next game, you host Ole Miss, And after losing back-to-back games, Texas A&M has to win this game, and they will win this game. I love this Ole Miss team, but I just see no way with the amount of talent Texas A&M has that they lose 3 straight games on the schedule. A&M will win this game versus Ole Miss, and also it's home. A&M wins. Next game after that Ole Miss game, you host Florida, and even though Billy Napier, I love him as a head coach, and you have AR-15 at quarterback, A&M has too much talent. If this was in Gainesville, maybe I can consider this a Florida win, but since this is in College Station, I just see there's no way Texas A&M loses this one. Give me the Aggies. And your next game is your final road game of the season, kind of early, but you host Auburn, and yes, I know Jordan Hare's a tough place to play, but Auburn's on the downfall. That quarterback situation is even worse than what Texas A&M has. TJ Finley, a quarterback, just got arrested today as I'm talking about this right now. So that quarterback situation's a mess. The staff's a mess. The program's a mess right now. A&M's going to win this game even though it's on the road. Next week, you host UMass. We're not even going to talk about it. That's a victory. And that final game of the season, you host LSU. This is a close game in my opinion. I think this is going to be a really nice coaching duo. We're going to watch in this one with Brian Kelly versus Jimbo Fisher. But I think this crowd is going to be hyped up. This is the last game of the season. A&M will find a way to win this one. And at the end of the day, I have Texas A&M going 9-3 with losses home versus Miami, at Alabama, and out South Carolina. The ceiling for this team, in my opinion, is only 10-2. I think this coaching staff is not that good to exceed it to like an 11-1 team. But the floor for this team is 8-4, ironically. That with the amount of talent on this team, there is no way you do 7 or 5 or worse, in my opinion. So what is your prediction for Texas A&M? Let me know in the comment section below. Notre Dame's going to be tomorrow, probably alongside like Miami or something. I have to check. But like, share, subscribe, push notifications on so you don't miss a video. And like always, have a good day. Peace out.